Hi. I wanted to just talk a little bit about tension and surrender. And the observation is that when we have tension, when we have resistance to something, we have a physiological response. Our body tenses. We might feel that in the gut. We also notice that if we can observe, there's an inward motion of retraction and also a pushing away that happens simultaneously. And that might be, in a way, our no. And it might be a psychological boundary then of I'm not open or available to the content of that information. I'm not allowing the information to penetrate me in a way that I end up having to be responsible for it. So tension can be a really lovely observational tool of where our no is at within us, and also what exactly, as self-reflection, what we're saying no to. Are we saying no to the information, and why? Is it because we have fear? Are we motivated by fear of what that would mean if we allowed ourselves to understand the information? So just seeing and observing the body have a physiological response to information can be really insightful. And then getting into the question, starting to contemplate or reflect into our own depths within that. And then the other facet is when we have resistance to something, so when we have that tension is generated and we withhold, so we pull into ourselves and then we push out, and there's a no there, whether that's, for 5 seconds or 5 minutes or 5 hours, 5 days, 5 years, whatever that is. There creates a tension between us and the thing, whether that's a person, what the person's saying, what the person represents. So there's an energetic tension that's created. When we start looking at polarity and seeing that when there's a no and there's a equal and opposite pull, that there's not in this moment an acceptance of what is. And what is isn't necessarily talking about the is of it being right on an absolute scale. We're just talking about right in its sense of it exists, of just a pure existence itself. Like, here you are and here I am. Whether that's right or wrong, it's irrelevant. We both can agree that it's here. And so on that very subtle level of allowing existence to exist, we can tap into a field that in a way allows us to liberate some of that tension that's operating, so that we can create more unity. So we can recognize first we're allowing that this tension exists, like that I have my thought, feeling, idea, opinion, moral, value, whatever that is, and you have yours over here, and it's seemingly opposing because they don't seem to align. So it generates a sensation. Now, if I'm not judging it as being right or wrong, it just is a sensorial inward experience about differences. Leaning into differences as a catalyst for unity is a really lovely place, because we can investigate then what is driving, like what is the thing that's keeping it separate, and can I go behind that within myself? Is there something within myself that could generate more space or more unity within these ideas of opposites? So where can I connect that would bring unity to both sides, where it would be a yes, where the tension actually turns into togetherness. Now, that doesn't mean that by togetherness that those ideas or the differences don't exist. It's just that they stop generating tension within the mind and the body. So often I find, for example, if we're focusing on the content, then, and the content being, is this right and then is this wrong, and I notice tension arising within the content, can I take a step back and observe what can I notice about them that is similar to me? For example, maybe I can also start observing that they are, how passionate they are about the way that they see things. Like, I can relate with that. Like, maybe I can see how articulate they are, or how well thoughtful they are, or how much they care. So some of these deeper values that are present in the tension start to actually decrease the tension. Because as I make the attempt to go deeper within myself, to polarize seemingly opposite forces, I can surrender. I can surrender into what, or better said, potentially, by allowing what is, and to just continue to observe what is, which are these unifying principles that are operating within the tension stops being the thing. The relaxation is a byproduct of the communion between seeming opposites. So then when you start talking about living in a paradox, that's ultimately how I'm observing it. What is happening? We're taking two seemingly opposing ideas and seeing the validity, the true validity of both of them, and being able to hold both of them, and in the moment be able to choose from either or without making either one of them an ultimate truth. So walking in the paradox is that unifying factor that takes it all as possibility without creating the tension. So then tension can be a great tool for liberation. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks for being with me.